Hello and welcome to the Alchemist Inkwell.
This is your spiritual podcast for grounded people.
Who's ready to shake shit up?
Whoop whoop. Is
We're
that because of
not.
Pluto?
We're not. We're
Like,
not
I'm ready
ready
if
for
you're
that.
there, but I didn't realize we were throwing a party. What?
No, we're not. We're not partying about it. We're just like, hey, on a uh oh my God, what are the rides that go woo, roller coaster?
I'm never not going to call them the rides that go woo again. I'm sorry if everybody who's only listening, it's quiet because we broke ourselves. Emily broke us. Emily did it. I want a t-shirt with a roller coaster loop on it that says the rides that go woo, please. Oh gosh. Mercury's going to go retrograde soon, you guys. In
Yeah,
Sagittarius.
Mercury's about to go retrograde, so that's part of the reason it's happening to my brain. I was gonna say, the rides that go woo, how you have like a strap in that like locks you into place for that adventure. We don't. So we're just trying to say like, hey, you ready to like just hold on for dear life as you go woo? Because that's how it's about to.
So, fun story about rides that go woo. Dan and I, for one of our earlier dates, went to King's Dominion in Virginia when I came down to see him. And there was this one roller coaster we went on that was indoors and did not have a lap bar. And at one point, it's all dark, right? So you're just feeling yourself being affected by centrifugal or centripetal force or velocity or what all of those physics terms that I'm really not familiar with. And at one point, we got this really weird pressure, and he's like, "Did we just go upside down?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then we followed this ride up by this giga coaster called the Intimidator, which literally made me black out. And so him too, like it had to get redesigned because too many people were blacking out. And fun fact, blacking out feels oddly close to having a stroke. So at the end of this, I was like, I'm not ready to be broken in front of you yet. I think I'm done. And we both sat down, hydrated, and left because that was too many rides that go woo.
That's not woo.
It's whoa.
That's rides that go boo.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not a ride that go woo person. I don't like them.
I've
Um,
conditioned myself to be out of peer pressure in childhood.
mm,
I am now, though.
yeah, yeah. Right. Right that goes woo in the dark with no lap bar, hard pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
But that's what we're entering into. That's what we're doing. We're doing the in the dark with no lap bar ride that goes woo. So
Yeah, for the next 4 years, there will be moments where you're like, did we just go upside down?
we laugh because it's traumatizing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's the only
Um,
option. You have to like, uh,
God. All that's to say, this week shit goes down. Really, it truly does. When we're recording this is the 18th. Tomorrow is the 19th. The 19th, Pluto goes woo into Aquarius.
that's exactly how it goes. Yeah.
I'm sure
Pluto
Pluto
goes.
really would
Yeah.
describe his very slow path as being woo. Um, but
About
into
as woo as it
Aquarius,
gets for Pluto.
right? And stuff changes. I will say it's really nice that we got a preview of this. And I know you're going to talk more about the astrology, but it's really nice we got a preview of the way some of this energy moved from January to May of this year. If you remember back to January through May, I know it feels like 17 lifetimes ago. I'm
Mhm.
aware, but it really did happen this year. Wow, it's 11:18 on 11:18 right now. That's a weird synchronicity. Alrighty.
Hmm.
Um, okay. On my side, not on your side.
Yeah, no,
Um,
but we'll tune into Hermes later and be like, hey, did you need something?
right? What was that about? But anyway, so if you think back to that time, personally, I really liked having the pressure of Pluto not being in Capricorn. It was distinctive for me. I could feel it, and the
Hmm.
things that changed along with it were pretty lovely. It was a purging, it was upsetting in some ways. It was a lot of releasing stuff that happened, but I enjoyed it. And I could feel the fucking moment when Pluto went back into Capricorn, and it was just kind of like, no.
Hmm.
Why are we doing this?
Same stuff again. Yay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, for one, even just on that note, not even speaking to how the world is going to react and how our country specifically is going to react and other things like that, which we will touch on a little bit in a second. But
Mhm.
just on that, I'm really excited. I would really like Pluto to get out of Capricorn now. I will say this time of Pluto in Capricorn been really a lot for me. Okay. Got a lot of shit while it's been in Capricorn. I know it's been like 20 years, but still a lot of shit has happened. I'd
Mhm.
like to see what other type of variety of shit will happen in the next 20.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when Pluto came into Capricorn to stay, it was 2008. I was graduating high school.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I mean, I confirmed this earlier for people on my one live. It was 2008.
Yeah.
It is 2024 now. Like, it's
Hmm.
been a minute since it's been in there. And yeah, like we say this all the time, but for anybody who might be hearing this for the first time, Pluto does define entire generations of people. And so a lot of social things are defined in those eras.
Hmm.
And when you look back and you look at the generation of this and the generation of that and the generation of this, they have things in common that seem to correspond and coincide with the sign that Pluto is in. It takes a generation to define it. And we are at the beginning of that right now, like the very beginning. So we are currently setting up how we choose to define the next 20 years. So, in that sense, I want to empower everybody. But I also know we're really tired from the
Hmm.
last one. So don't forget that though Pluto is just going to hop right over into into Aquarius from Capricorn, you get to take this bit, let's say 2 months, and like give yourself the time to prepare emotionally,
Just a
mentally.
casual. Let's just say 2 months. Just an
Yeah,
arbitrary
I'm
thing to throw
flirting with
out.
this these days.
Right? I will say the last, or this is a couple days ago, I got in Shadow was like, um, I'm glad I'm Gen Z, even though TJ and Lee are Gen Alpha. I'm like, you're not Gen Z, babe. You're Gen Alpha. And she was like, no, no, I'm not. And I was like, no, you are very deeply Gen Alpha. And she was like, I looked it up online and it said I'm Gen Z. I was like, well, what you looked at was wrong. I don't know
Mm,
what to tell you. I was like, you were born in 2010. That is very much Gen Alpha. It's like
mhm.
by multiple years. You're Gen Alpha. Also, your brother is born the same freaking year as you. How many generations?
Yeah,
And she was like, "No, but Gen Z's cooler." I was like, "Yeah, all the
I
Gen Alpha
mean,
are children."
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
stuff. Well, that was funny. It's like,
Gen Z is cooler. You don't get to like just by generation take on coolness.
yeah, it's
That's
like, no,
something that I think Gen X and millennials learned the hard way.
right? Jesus.
Hmm. Yeah. Ah,
Um, Anyway, on top of that, so there's that, like that is a big thing. And I will
it's a
say a
big
lot
thing.
of social media people are talking predominantly about that at the
Yep.
moment. However, and Krista's about to tell you all the things, this next week is full of all of the stuff. So, if you felt like this past week, you're like, wow, emotionally really fucked up, not necessarily a lot of stuff happened since the election. It was kind of quiet, to be totally honest, energy wise. It did feel calm before the storm. Just gonna throw that out there. Now we're stepping into the storm. So there's a lot of
Stepping
stuff
into the
that's
storm.
casual little jump. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the next week energetically. Obviously, Mercury retrograde is part of that, but and Pluto is part of that. But there's even more. Krista, do you want to talk about it?
Do I ever? I'm pulling up charts. Because I have some charts up already in preparation for this, but I was like, no, I want to go deeper. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, so yeah, the first most immediate thing that has already happened to all of you as you are listening to this, but has yet to occur by a few hours for us, is that Pluto does get into Aquarius. The last time Pluto entered Aquarius was January 2024. Then Pluto popped back into Capricorn September 1st of this year. So January through September, we had our final preview period. Between September and the 19th now of November, we had our final closing of the book on Capricorn. November 19th at 3:39 p.m. Eastern Time, Pluto will come into Aquarius.
So
And
excited.
Pluto, yeah,
Want to throw
well,
a party. Pluto
Pluto,
party.
well, it's better than the last thing. But Pluto will stay in Aquarius until March 8th, 2043. It will go back and forth again a couple times, but then it will settle into Pisces eventually by 2044, I believe. Yeah. So between now and 2044, let's say, we're going to be dealing with Pluto in Aquarius. This has a very dualistic opportunity for us. I'm saying dualistic opportunity, and I mean it intently, consciously, you might even say. Conscious individual choices are going to be very important. Those conscious individual choices should lead you to other individuals that you can then connect yourself to. Again, community and society, but you cannot lose yourself in that. Aquarius is a very individualistic, humanistic sign. It is sometimes called the humanitarian sign, in that it wants everybody to be able to have what they need. It wants everybody to be seen. It wants to be seen itself, right? Aquarius is sometimes called quirky and eccentric as a personality trait. It's because they see things differently. And with Aquarius, of course, we have an air sign. So technology and AI and all of this stuff burgeoned in the period of, entering into Aquarius, which we first did in actually March of 2022. And so we've been kind of 2023, actually. We've been going back and forth since then. And now we have this thing where everybody's like, well, AI is almost fully integrated into my normal life. Now, how do we like grapple with that and coexist with that, which we'll probably define over the next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that this happened, which is also important to note, was in the mid to late 1770s. And there's another interesting pattern that is repeating within that I'm going to
Wait,
note
I don't know what
very.
happened.
Oh, it gets more specific too. Like the other pattern that coincides with that is Uranus in 2026 will move into Gemini to stay. We have a Pluto Uranus trine that will be by sign. It's going to be pretty loose, but well, actually, no, it's not. It's going to get tighter because Uranus is going to catch up a little bit. So we will have this Pluto Uranus trine at some point in the next 20 years. I haven't gotten the exact date on that. I could find it though if we want to round out back to it.
I just want to say that shrine when you mentioned that, it looked when the image that popped up with that was just a pant. It was like a D&D game or a LARPing game, but everyone was without pants. And I was like, that's fucking weird, but that's the
Yeah.
vibe.
Well, okay. So the last time we had both of them in these signs was 1778 through 1797. If you Google, as I did, 1778 through 1797 or dash 1797 major historical events, you will find enough. Because even like I used Bing for this, but it gave me 5 bullet points, which are exactly what. So, I mean, do you hear the people sing and have you seen Hamilton?
I was just gonna say Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
My name
So
is
those are
Alexander
your hints.
Hamilton.
If you know, you know. And yeah. Now, it should be said that at that time we were in an epoch of Earth. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think so. Either Earth or not air, right? We have entered into an epoch now of air. This is not the dawning of Aquarius. It is not. But what it is an era. And yeah, I'm like copyright that. That's mine. Sticking with it. I don't care how lame it sounds. We
It's
are in
not
an
lame.
era now for the next 200 years. Pluto coming into Aquarius is just emphasizing this. This actually
Mhm.
kicked off on the winter solstice, December 21st, 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn had their first actual conjunction in the air signs at the 0 degrees, first degree of Aquarius. So that's when it's all kind of like bubbled up.
Which we did an episode about on that day. So you
Yeah.
can go back and look for that episode in our blog of episodes if you want to understand what we're talking about even then.
Yeah. And what these are called are great conjunctions. They talk about it in the news like a Bethlehem star or, like a Christmas star, because it is thought that the star that the wise men or the astrologers followed, who were Persian, by the way, likely mostly Persian, that they followed to find Jesus when he was born, followed a star that was a great conjunction. They didn't follow like exactly that. It wasn't like, oh, there's a great conjunction. Jesus must be right underneath it. Timing unfolds after that. And I actually have a book that tells you about it. It's really cool. So a conjunction happened, and then they learned in the fourth year after this conjunction, this is when we expect this to happen. According to this klima, or this area of the world ruled by this sign in this planet, this is where we expect it. So yes, they did follow the star, but it wasn't like a giant supernova just showed up and somehow they were like, Bethlehem's exactly under that. That's unfortunately not how it happened. It's still really cool how it did happen. But we have entered into a new era as well. Um, and so now it is air. We have shifted from Earth from the last 200 years into a now a 200-year period of air. So my point being, sorry for being so long about this, but I feel like it's important. The point being, what we had then was a very Earth approach to these revolutionary times, to these times of ingenuity, to these times of doing a 180, to these times of doing something differently and turning the tide on things. Now we are going to have a very air approach. This involves technology, communications, and other things of that nature. So before it was very hands-on, right? Earthy. Now it's more in the ether kind of stuff.
Yeah. Financial, digital.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Hmm.
Drones kind of stuff. Like, so
Hmm.
that's why my thought, and other astrologers who have spoken before me on this years ago, also made the point before we started really popularly using drones and internets to hold sway in wars, let's just put it that
Hmm.
way. They were saying the same thing, and that did kind of show up that way. And so I can speak with confidence and evidence to say that moving forward, it's going to be a battle of the minds and a battle of the technology.
I agree.
A little bit, I'm not saying that you're never going to see boots on the ground somewhere, or that you're never going to see one thing or another, but it's going to be more of an emphasis on the, like, it just feels very, I know you are, but what am I? And like capture the flag.
Yeah.
And we are the ones who have to deal with that. It's not, I'm laughing just because of the energy of people who think that they can govern other people so carelessly bothers me. But
Hmm.
I do think that when we see conflict arise, if we see conflict arise, that will be more of that nature, which to me is something that I don't know, in some way, I don't know if I could even say it's preferable or preferable, but it is going to be different than before. So I would not be afraid of that same exact thing happening. I would be prepared for anything you are power that is within your power, leaning into your own individuality, which is another Aquarian thing that happens. It's individual, it's eccentric, it's quirky, it's artistic and creative, and it has great strategy. Make the strategies you need to feel safe, and then lean into the things that make you an individual and make you unique. Those are
Hmm.
the things that you can focus on daily. Having your strategy for anything that might worry you will also support your ability to function on the daily. And I hope that didn't get too tense or whatever, but
Well, I will
interested
say
in
too,
hearing
is
more
if we
about
get
it.
to a place where there's boots on the ground, I do think it's going to be a lot more of air fighting, straight up,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
fighting in the skies, fighting with dropping things, etc., which we've already seen. Like
Yeah.
that's what Gaza unfortunately has been a testing ground for in a lot of ways, and I think there's that also kind of element that comes in with it, which is shitty. I just want to be really realistic about it too.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's also a thing going on. And I don't know how it's going to come about. I don't think it's predominantly like widespread violence though for this like space. It does
Mhm.
feel so much more like technological, digital,
Mhm.
financial resources, that type of thing, when
Yeah.
it comes to shift and change. So I feel that very significantly. And I've talked about that. If you're on my Patreon, I just did a video about some of this stuff very recently. And I've told my patrons specifically, like I'm only going to talk about some of the stuff that I believe that is going to happen in that Patreon space to get that consent.
Agreed. Yep. Same.
So if you want to head over there and get more deets, by all means, would love to have you in that space.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so just there's that kind of element that comes in with it too. And I will say we're entering it whenever we start something new, which is what we're doing, both from the epic side of it, of us being in air and Pluto going into Aquarius and having starting a new generation. Both of those are big, significant starts. The
Mhm.
start of something is never clean.
No,
Like,
no.
if you've read any book ever, is the opening sequence always super nice and lovely and she's just planting a garden and nothing really happens? No, it's the inciting incident, it's the inciting action.
Mhm.
It's the messy stuff
Mhm.
happens first. No matter where you're entering into the story, it's always the messy stuff. That's what kicks off the story. So just to keep that in mind too. If you're like, why is all this happening right now? Because we're at the beginning of something new. We're deciding what new is going to look like. We're deciding how this is going to happen on a world stage. And that is a powerful thing. And again, exactly what Krista said, be empowered in this, be creative, manifest it for yourself of what you want it to look like and dive into that space, organize, get into community that aligns with what you believe in. That's especially important right now. We have to be loud and we have to be in community. Those
Mhm.
are requirements of this like level of time, because it like that space of duality that you talked about, we can go in a way where we make the world better, or we can go in the way that makes the world worse. We want to go in the better direction, and to do that, it's get in community, continue to be vocal, continue to keep going, continue to be part of the revolution, essentially, of minds that's occurring right now, which we're all a
Mhm.
part of all across the world. It is a blanket sweep of shit going on. And there's a lot of pull in both directions. And it's important to individually decide what you stand for. It's
Mhm.
really essential.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And, the duality is you can either lean into who you are, lean into what's important to you, hold fast to those things that make you who you are, or you follow someone else and you become a representative of their ideals. And that's not necessary. Like, be you instead. I find you much more
It's
interesting.
maybe we don't do that at all.
Maybe not. But so that being said, if you are like, oh my gosh, no, I feel scared now,
No.
valid. Valid,
Hmm.
because things have happened that many of us are feeling that fear in, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling frustration, if you're feeling all those things, you are not alone. But that means you have community. Surround yourself with that community. If you start with a podcast where you feel seen by the two co-hosts because they love you so much,
Yeah.
start there.
Mhm.
Start communicating with other people who also partake in that podcast. You have found your people. You've found at least one or two. Interact in comments, meet in real life, whatever you got to do. I am finding communities around me because I'm actually in a space now where I live that have access to multiple communities, which is great. Plant yourself where you can grow. If you have that opportunity, go somewhere that is more attuned to you. I can totally attest to the fact that even if you think you don't have the means, if you're supposed to end up there, all that is will tear you out of your current soil and put you somewhere else.
Mhm.
I've been there. So I know everything is possible. And if you are meant to be somewhere else, and if you ask, give me the means to get there, they will find you. The means will find you to help you get where you need to go. So
Mhm.
just continue to trust in the ability to be where you need to be and find the people that you need to find. We will continue to give you opportunities that will help with that. In fact, we've got one coming up in December,
Yeah.
which we will talk about on this episode.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, yawning. Um, And magic is increasing too. And I don't want anyone
So
to think that it's not. Like it very, very much is. Like the influence of magic and spiritual things and beings that are in other realms and dimensions on the world is massive. Like it is getting more and more and more and more. And it's going to continue to get more and more and more and more. We're actually on the precipice of, and this is a prediction I'm happy to share on here, but of the precipice of probably the largest spiritual awakening this planet has like legitimately ever seen.
mhm,
And we really are right there. And when I say that, I'm not saying that to be like, it's all going to be wonderful. I mean that right now, a lot of the planet is getting into relationships with narcissists. And that is some of the leaders, the fascists, all those things. Those are narcissistic people. And a lot of the planet who've never had the experience before of being in a relationship with a narcissist, getting into one because that's who they're allowing to lead them. When those things are removed, if anyone, any one of you who's been in a relationship with a narcissist understands, you have a huge spiritual awakening afterwards. That's
mhm.
what they are for, straight
Yep.
up. And we're about to do that on a mass scale. So, all of you all listening, even if you still feel very baby in your journey or still feel slightly disconnected from this or just kind of dabbling, you're already being drawn kind of ahead of this big wave that is coming of people needing the support and needing the connection and needing the community. So, you finding community now with like minded spiritual peeps is going to be really helpful when the wave of new awakening occurs, because you'll already have community and support installed and ready to go. It's
Mhm.
honestly gonna
Resources.
be a wild time on that side of it. And it's I keep talking to my guides about it, I keep looking at it. I'm like, within the next 10 years, magic becomes undeniable. It's no longer
Mhm.
I believe, I don't. It's a well, I use it like this, I use it like this. That's where we're going. And when I started doing this very publicly, what fuck a long time ago, 10 years ago
Yeah.
now. I did it super publicly,
Yeah.
early 20s. I don't know. Um, that's when I started like actually kind of advertising or doing like live readings and that kind of thing. I've been doing readings since I was like 15, but like publicly. The whole time I have talked about the fact that, oh, I lost it. Fucking Mercury. Fuck you. Why?
Took it right out of you. I think I saw it zing out of your
You
head.
did. It's literally, I was like, I have this such complete thought. It's so valid.
Mhm. And I'm trying to walk back to remind you. So you were talking about,
So mad. This is stupid.
no, come on, I was paying attention.
They're just screaming right now. Oh my God, you know it.
So
Hey,
let's walk us back. You've been doing this for over 10 years. I know because I just had like a, a brain fry because I'm like, oh man, I just remembered when I started doing this.
since
Um,
I started doing this publicly is what I was talking about. I was talking about how
Awakenings
the
after
spiritual awakening is going to
narcissists.
happen after Narcissus, but it was in
Yeah.
between that too, of finding community, of oh my fucking God.
Okay, so let me talk about something that's going to give you a chance to let it pop back in because that's one of those things that it feels like. Also, have
So
you ever tried this where sometimes I'll be talking to Dan and it'll go away and I'll be like, hang on a second. So you pluck it out of the air and you just go boop and put it back in the person's head. And
it's too far gone.
too
I
far
have
gone?
done it, but it's gone,
Yeah.
gone. Like you saw it, like
Yeah, it zinged right out. That's where it went too. So
oh my
yeah,
God. Yesterday I was recording stuff for the new class that I'm launching. By the way, I'm launching a new class over Black Friday week. Just so you guys are aware. I guess I'm talking about that now, which is
yeah, well,
but
yeah.
it's a spirit guide course. It's just to help you guys connect with your spirit guide so you have the support that you need. If you've taken any other digital courses, this covers so much more additional information about how to communicate with spirit guides. It's a really in-depth one, and it's less than it costs less than a half an hour reading with me. Like it's going to be a
Mhm.
very reasonable course so that a bunch of people can access to it. But whatever, I'm recording it, and this thing did the same thing. And I was trying to make one thing happen as I'm recording it, and I had to literally talk myself into it 3 different times before I could finally remember what it was and get the point out. And it literally was just like, and it's fucking
Yeah.
Mercury, and I know it is.
Yeah. So the other thing we were talking about was December. And
No,
then,
that wasn't
no,
it.
okay. So
I
in
was
the
talking about
meantime,
going forward, and I was talking.
yeah,
Everyone's gonna comment, and then I'm gonna remember after the fact, and like on next episode, I'll be like, this.
this is what
Um,
it was. That's okay. Next episode's topic, whatever Emily was going to say.
maybe no, don't like that. Oh my God. Well, we're talking about
Maybe
how
a
magic is
bookend
becoming
episode.
undeniable, and it's not becoming believable. It's gonna be how to use it.
Yeah, which isn't unusual. It's just unusual for our time.
Totally.
Hmm.
That's why it's the biggest spiritual awakening that's ever happened because
Yeah.
everyone was just spiritually awoken from the moment of birth
Hmm.
until the world got exorcised by the
Yeah.
church.
Well,
Like this is this
this is
is
my
like
favorite thing. So I'm reading about I'm trying to read about like original religion so that I can deconstruct everybody who says like, oh, Babylonians confirmed the Bible's flood myth. History is cringing. But anyway, um, what I was reading in there was, faith and belief was integrated so deeply into things that even accountants' ledgers had a prayer to the deity or energies that were appropriate before taking down the ledgers. And so it was
Mhm,
very incorporated. And I really love that for them. And I agree that everybody should be, I love the idea of one of my favorite words is henotheism that I've learned. It's everybody gets to believe what they believe and we're all okay with it and
mhm.
society functions, right? Like nobody has to believe one thing and nobody complains about it. Everybody celebrates what they celebrate. Whatever you're celebrating in December, you're celebrating that and it's awesome and you
Yeah,
can. And
that's
no one has
Rome.
a problem with it.
That was Rome.
Henotheism. Yeah. Rome
Like
was
until later,
henotheistic, which is
obviously.
something that the Christians had a problem with. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I,
that was how it was, truly though. It's like every
yeah, it's
time like that it was just like, hey, we
well,
collect
and so is
together.
like
Pay your taxes.
Alexandria and Egypt up until Christians decided they had a problem with it because they used to get mad because pagan holidays would be celebrated in the social spaces. And everybody was like, why do you never show up at our social stuff? And they were like, because we don't want to celebrate your holidays. And they were like, well, then don't, but still like show up in society. And they were like, no, you should do mine. And that's the whole thing. Um, yes, Jesus is my primary guide. And yes, I still have problems with the history of Christianity as an organized religion. I don't think they got it right from the day after the cross. I really don't. So I think there are better ways that we can rewrite or not even recomprehend what's been given to us. And I think it's just been utilized, manipulated, and misinterpreted for a very long time. And we should take that back, which is one of my goals. Stay tuned. So, yeah, how's it coming, Emily?
I have said forever that I have always wanted to make spirituality a dinner table conversation. Motherfucker, I found it again. I'm so sorry I keep cussing, but I would
No,
piss me off so bad.
I know it's
That was it.
bad.
I always wanted spirituality to become a dinner table conversation that everyone at the table of any house could be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's this thing and there's that thing or whatever. And that's always what I've worked for. And now it feels very much like we're entering the stage where that becomes a thing. And I am pretty excited about it. Jesus.
You did it.
Wow. I did it. And now it feels anticlimactic.
No, it doesn't, because we are coming into a time of the year where everybody's going to be talking at the dinner tables, trying to avoid talking about what they believe in when you
Yeah.
really don't need to. You know what? We're in Aquarian era now, right? We're in the next 20 years of Aquarius. Stand out. Talk about the
Yeah.
thing that is taboo. Go for it, because why not be
Hmm.
the different one?
Hmm. Yeah.
At the worst, you find a better table to sit at next year.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be different. Anyway, what else is happening this week? Let's loop in because
Let's bring it
we
back.
got stuff.
Yeah, okay. So this week, as in the week of the 18th through the
Mhm.
25th, and I'm gonna extend that, let's actually do the 19th through like the 29th, shall we? I don't
For
hear
the
anybody
rest of the month.
complaining, so I think we're gonna go with it.
We're gonna do the rest of the month right now. I
Rest of
don't
the
know
month,
why my lighting keeps getting all
which is
funky.
great because next week is a bookend episode too. And we also decided we're gonna play Higa again for bookend episodes. Let us know how you feel about Higa. Um, being
Everyone liked it so much. We really
I know,
appreciate that because it was a
yeah,
nice little clarity
it was
and a
great.
palate cleanser.
Yeah, I loved it. I was very appreciative of that. So also what we've got coming up, as we've been kind of alluding to, is Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. Mercury doesn't particularly like being in Sagittarius, and on the 25th, Mercury will move backwards in Sagittarius, prolonging their stay there. And so, let me just check on Mercury really quick as I say this, because Mercury, I need to get out of the year 1777 and back to now. Excuse me a moment. Here I am. Sometimes as an astrologer, you live in the future. Sometimes you live in the past. It's very rare that you're in the present. It's an
Mhm.
unfortunate hazard of the job. And Ficino himself even said, like, you're going to get depressed if you study too hard. Touch grass. So, uh,
Again,
Mercury, thank you, Ficino. Yeah, Mercury doesn't get into Capricorn. Cool. So Mercury is going to stay in Sagittarius until January after Mercury is done retrograding, which means Mercury will spend that whole time in the sign of its detriment. So just be prepared. We're already seeing, because Mercury is very well in pre-shadow, technological glitches, communication issues. Laugh it off is my suggestion. It is in Sagittarius. Let the mistakes be funny.
mm-mm,
Just let it be funny, right? We need reasons to laugh. Give yourself all of them. If the car breaks down, laugh. If the email got sent wonky, laugh. If your app won't open for the umpteenth time that you've restarted your computer, I'm looking at you, Kindle app for PC, laugh. Um, and just let that be like your coping mechanism for this, because yeah, stuff's going to go back and forth and then it's going to move forward and it will be okay, or you'll come up with a better solution. So that's Mercury retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde from, as we said, let's see, November 25th through December 15th. So halfway through December, we will get our Mercury moving direct again. And in that time, two major things happen. One, next week, Mars is going to trine, well, the sun's going to trine Mars on the 27th. This is not Mars going retrograde. That happens on December 6th, I believe. And we will talk more about that as it comes closer. But what it does mean is Mars is going to be stationary. Mars is basically standing still at this point in the sky. Mars is, if you are part of my Patreon where we are analyzing things, and for more details on this, of course, consent means join us over there. But Mars is kind of the Lord of the Year. There's a lot going on with Mars. Mars is a big influencer for us right now on multiple levels. And so Mars standing still is saying, hey, stop for a second, pay attention. And it's
Freaking
interesting to
Mars.
me because another thing that we're talking about in Modern School of Ancient Wisdom is we're doing like astrocalculus with some timing. And we've been able to really plan out like major events that have happened in 2024. And we've also been able to look ahead at some major events that may be coming up. And so prominent dates that I'm very curious about are also happening around this time. Uh, I'm going to give you the exact dates once I can scroll to them. It's November 24th around then. So sometime between November 20th and the 27th, I think, is when that exact date is. It depends on how you math out the calculus, but that's another
Mhm.
important time. And other things are going on around this time too that may be happening in the news to some people. So
Mhm.
it's very
Don't know what that
interesting.
would be.
No, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with the representation of Jupiter being representing judges in astrology. So I've given you everything you need if you want to Google it. So,
Unseen enemies
yeah, seen enemies. It's not
or
even
seen
unknown.
enemies.
We know about them. And the seventh house is also where lawyers and stuff show up too. And this is the house of the, yeah. So it's the
Stuff.
perfected house of the person in question. So there is that. So again, that whole next week just has a lot of potential. Potential is
It
the
has so much potential to go in so many directions.
yeah, there's just a lot that the energy is ripe to allow to happen.
You know
Um,
what direction it doesn't go in though? Backwards.
well, I mean, only Mercury does, but Mercury is not one of the primary movers in the charts of the individuals that I'm paying attention to right now. Mars,
And even though Mercury is going backwards, the energy itself is not being pulled to the past. That is what I'm trying to say. So Mercury is
oh,
going backwards to wreck and break shit to help us move forward too. So
yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah. And the only thing Mercury would be going backwards and taking back would be things that happened during Mercury pre-shadow, which was only about 2 weeks before Mercury retrograde. So,
yeah, taking back.
mhm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, ancient astrologers do say that whatever a planet gives, when it's in that first range of the degrees, it might take back or take away during retrograde. That can show up in many metaphorical ways or sometimes literally.
Sometimes super literally.
Mhm.
Honestly, we're just both like, ah. So
I'm not making a prediction. I am just citing my sources.
perfect. I will say with this energy of Mercury retrograde on a very personal level, now that we're talking about him or them doing the Mercury thing that they do. Um, I will say it is a very superficial technology type of breaking when I look at it.
Mhm.
It's less of like the pipes of your house and more
Yeah,
of like, oh, well, this thing's not going to work right. And did you want your internet to work today? Too bad. And it's just like very fluffy, very like technologically, very like cerebral almost level things
yeah,
crashing, as opposed to like deep rooted technology or body technology or a lot of that stuff that we've seen in a lot of previous retrogrades lately
yeah,
for the last like 2 years. This one goes a lot more fuzz with
yeah.
it.
Well, when I was channeling into it, I was thinking, like, what are my recommendations for this Mercury retrograde? And I heard make sure your apps are updated, like Zoom, for instance, or like if you're having any kind of glitches, make sure you're okay with restarting your computer. Plug it in, unplug it, like have you tried restarting it? A lot of those IT solutions are going to be
Mhm.
what we need. Is there an update? Have you cleared the cache? All of those things. It's an overwhelm of unnecessary data or unnecessary cookies or whatever that's leading to this slogging down.
Mhm.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
life
it's the
and
head
mostly in
over the
technology.
gut. So if
Yeah.
you think about like it's me losing words for sure over like more severe, deeper health things, right? So
Mhm.
it's that type of thing. If you just think head over the gut for like all this stuff, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
The guts clog stuff up and takes whatever that type of like long tech stuff. It feels not that.
Yeah.
For example, today Zoom logged me in twice. So there was two of me. Why?
Mhm.
I don't fucking
Yeah.
know,
You
but
had to
there
take
was.
power back from yourself, which
I
if
did.
that's not a metaphor.
Snapping it up. So anyway, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. Don't feel bad if you lose your thought. um or
Or your mind.
yeah, of course, anxiety stuff or emotional stuff, that stuff to kind of focus on with Mercury retrograde too this time. When I look at the energy of it, it's very up top. It's just
Mhm.
very fluffy tech things.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I'm debating like upgrading some of my technology and stuff, just to prepare potentially for what's coming in for this next year, tariffs. Anyway, so I was trying to like think about like updating some stuff, and I was like, oh, but it's Mercury retrograde. Like, should I not do that? Should I wait? And my guys were like, no, you'll be fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
It's update whatever. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
not.
just gonna be weird, inconvenient, breaky things,
Yeah, it's
not
not
like
in a position for you where I'd be worried.
yeah, not like big
Hmm.
stuff. So that's a
Yeah,
pro. That's
it's a
I like
software
that.
issue, not a hardware issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. I'll accept
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. What I would be careful of though is the only hardware issue I'd be concerned about is dropping your technology.
Mm-hmm.
Butterfingers may be an issue. So just be very
That's fair.
conscious and careful and aware of when you're setting things down. My technology has already been warning me where something in the same pocket as my phone will fall out. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that could have been my phone. Be more aware. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That's definitely the space with that too, for sure.
Hmm.
So anyway, there's this bunch of stuff going together. Be creative. Creation is an act of resistance.
Hmm.
It is also an act of investing in the future. Be creative, be connective, find community, embrace each other. And one way we have to do that is we are actually so excited to launch our holiday festival, basically. What is it called?
Something light. It's going to be on the website.
It's gonna be
Celebration
it's
of Light Holiday Festival.
no,
Celebration of Light? No,
no,
Celebration of Light. Light is
we're
in the
getting there.
title because
Our
it's important.
Traditions of Light Winter Festival.
There it is.
It's our
Traditions
program.
of
We own it
Light.
and made it.
Yeah, we did. We were creative and we came up with it by ourselves and then we lost it. We forgot.
Traditions of Light Holiday Festival. Basically, what we are going to be doing is all through the month of December, if you sign up for this program, we are going to be taking you through a bunch of different holidays, pagan holidays and alternative holidays from kind of all over the world to help you establish new traditions and help you
Reclaiming certain
understand how to
traditions. Yeah.
yeah, and help you understand how to honor your magic and spiritual journey during this very sacred, worldwide important time of the year. And we know
Mhm.
a lot of you guys who especially have deconstructed from more like, strict religions, sometimes have a hard time with this Christmas time of year, especially like
Mhm.
reconciling like new you versus old you and what traditions you like and don't. So we're just here to like help guide you through that. It's gonna be super duper fun. We're gonna dive into like a lot of the ones you think of like our solstice practices and things to do for that Yule kind of thing. And we're gonna talk about Saturnalia, but we're also gonna go to like Shinto traditions during this
Mhm.
time of year and like Slavic traditions during this time of year and ancient Celtic and Norse traditions for this time of year and really help you get connected, as well as reclaiming some of the like more Christian
Advent.
and going back
Yeah.
to roots
Hmm.
of that as well.
I
So
have the theological approach to Advent and using Advent as a form of resistance
yeah.
that I will be
And
sharing.
folk magic things. We're doing a bunch of really
Mhm.
fun magic stuff with it. And basically, the way it's going to work is it's a month-long program. It takes all of December. Every Monday, you will get basically a guidebook to the holidays and how to honor and the festivals you can tap into during that week. And then we will have a live call with everybody that Friday, and to just give you additional insight, answer questions, hang out with you, talk about how your celebrations have gone so far, what you're preparing for celebrations that weekend, you name it, as well as you'll be part of a group so everyone can share pictures of what they're doing and inspire each other and just create like a lot of really light and bright holiday cheer together, especially this year. We really need that community and we really need to have
Mhm.
these traditions and to be firm in them and continue to establish them and continue to remind people that they exist. It's super important right now. So we are launching this program on Friday, our Traditions of Light Winter Festival. Yep.
Yep.
And we are super duper excited about it. It will be on ninthhousepub.com,
Hmm.
which is our website. Go ahead and check that out. Again, it launches on Friday. And you're going to want to get in there as soon as possible because, again,
Yep.
we don't have that much time until December. So get on in there and it's going to be super fun. I'm looking forward to it so much. It's what we really like. I mean it from my heart. I feel like it's so much what we need right now
Hmm.
to get through the month of December, no matter what all the stuff this next week does to us. This is something that we can look forward to, we can band together. It's kind of the act of being in a coven. If you've
Hmm.
seen anything recently on social media, a lot of witches and spiritual people are like, we need to form covens. We've been doing
Yep.
that for years. So
Yep.
this is like the next layer of that. And we hope that you hop in because it's going to be real fun. We're really excited. It's going to
Yeah.
be
It's
great.
gonna
Even
be
if you can't
great.
remember the name, we know the vibes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not about the name, it's about you having a space. So it'll be
Mhm.
it'll be even better than anything that has a name. Yeah, and we will post the direct link to that in the description of this video on YouTube as well. It'll be in the show notes or whatever. So hopefully it'll be easy to access. In any links on our two bios across our social medias, it will be there. And if you can't find
Mhm.
it, comment wherever you're listening, and we will do our best to get it to you.
Yeah, absolutely we will. Um, and you know, we're looking forward to it too. We also need this. It's really fun for us
Mhm.
to get to celebrate, you know, some new holidays for us, that we've done a lot of research on for you guys. And we're also, you know, some ancient holidays that I've celebrated before from like the Hellenic calendar and those types of things that now I get to share with you. Some reclaiming of some holidays that we've celebrated before, but now we're going to do in a more aligned way. It's really magical for us
We
too
need to
to get
talk
to do
about
that.
how to pick a branch that will be a dowsing rod for you, which you can only do one night out of the year, and it will be during this period. So I will share with you how to do that using folk magic and then how to tune it up so it actually does douse for you.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about rune spreads, all sorts of fun stuff. We're going to do a
Mhm.
lot of cool things in this space. So, anyway, we're super excited. We're super excited to offer this to all of you. We're super excited to have this wonderful holiday festival of just coziness and light together because we need that all right now.
Mhm.
Anyway, that launches this Friday, the 22nd?
22nd.
22nd.
Mhm.
Look at I didn't even have to look at the calendar. I knew the date. It's fine.
Very good. I
Um,
had to look it up.
Amazing. So please head over and hang out with us there. We can't wait to do this adventure with you. And we hope that you're taking all of this very impactful energy and that you, one, two, three, go
Go
make some
make some
magic.
magic. It was perfect on my side.
That is, but woo.
That's good to hear.